Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we will be having a flashback Sunday with Earth Elizabeth. I think a lot of people will remember this mod, and some people are still actually using this mod today. And in this video we will be testing out this mod, what we used to have before, and see if we can actually use it today with a newer skill. If you guys remember this mod back in the day, this was go-to mod for a lot of people that use Earth with Charles before all the hybrids came to play. I think this mod were one of the most popular mods for mid spenders to high spenders as well. If you didn't go with Holy or Shadow at the time, this was the mod to go. It was very good. It can beat even Lightning sometimes, and I still believe today that this mod is actually very good for a lot of people. Although, it can be a hassle with the artifacts and the grinding, but this is a now free to play mod, and you can obtain everything without having to spend a dime, which in my opinion is very good, because back then you had to unlock Charles, which is gonna cost a lot of money, and then you had to unlock Elizabeth, with being like the VIP 10 as well, and then you had to be VIP 5, I think, to unlock Zenobia at the time. Luckily, times has changed, and every immortal here can be obtained for free, and I think this mod brings a good memory, good memory for a lot of people, because this was very strong back then. Some people were running maybe with, instead of Zenobia, with Theodora, but it wasn't very popular back then. And now everybody has switched out Zenobia, unfortunately. But in this video, we are going to be looking at Charles, Alex, Zenobia, and Elizabeth and see how it goes. Now let's take a look at frontliners skills. For Charles, if I remember correctly, I had a team with this setup as well. I were using either Aura, and I had Oaken Guard. I was using Fighting Master, and then I used Adrenaline Rush. If I didn't use like Oaken Guard, I probably used something like an Aura, Berserk as well. I think that is very good skill on him. That's like my go-to free-to-play skills on him. But nowadays, I probably use Guard, probably use Weakening Curse as well, and of course, I will still use Fighting Master to get immune against CC, right? And then we have Alex. Alex is, very similar to what we had before. Some people choose to run differently. I choose to run it differently. But there are different ways to build him. Before, we used to have like I think it was Cleave, Anger, and then we had the combo, the purple skill. I think that was good. Some people choose to run with Physical Shield to make him sustain a little bit longer. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Nowadays, you can run with Assembly Charge. You can run it with Demonic Contract. I think that is good as well. Also, you have the Blade Vortex and Executioner combo that is still working really well on that. So there's a lot of combos that you can do, and for me personally, I would probably go with Berserker, Assembly Charge, and combo, because I want Alex to do damage from the get-go real quick. I want to burst him down with a lot of normal attacks, which for me I like it best right that way. So now let's take a look at backliner. As for backliner, we have Zenobia with the assist and absolute defense. I think that is the most common one. And we have sacrifice. I think that was like the common 3 skills that we use on Zenobia back then. And of course, sometimes if you want, you can use energy suppression. But with 3 skills, you can have Spring of Life, you can have Energy Shield, Purification. Purification was actually pretty, good to have back then, when you can purify all the wounds when you fought Genghis Khan, when you fought King Emperor, so that was good back then as well. And then you have the with Vitality Touch, which I think is very good for support. And then of course, if you want to go to the higher tier, you want to go for Life Protection. But I wouldn't even, be touching that because it's very expensive. If you can afford Life Protection, you probably already switch out Zenobia at the time. So yeah, and the newest skill that will be in a recharge pack in about like 4, 5, 6 weeks. Soul Synergy, I think that's gonna be very, very good as well for a support like Zenobia healers. I'm definitely gonna get that. Yeah, for Elizabeth, I remember vividly Elizabeth. I was using Anger. I was using Berserk Aura. I was using Death Breath as go-to Elizabeth March, and I think it was working very well because with Earth she ramped up the 15-20 seconds that you need to be doing real damage. I think that worked really well. And of course, if you want to have triss skills nowadays, you can definitely go with the Blade Vortex Executioner combo. If you don't do that on Alex, you can definitely use on Elizabeth. You can do with Battle Stance. I think that's gonna be very good on her due to her, 15-20 seconds delay in the beginning where she's just proc the normal attacks with the charm. I think that is gonna be working really well. And then after 20 seconds, you're gonna pop off with your ultimate. That's gonna be really good to see. And also we have Time to Shine. I think that skill is very good on archers and frontliners in general. And if you want to play around with crit on this March, which I didn't do back then, and most people probably didn't do back then, would do. So yeah, you can definitely build something different. You can definitely go for more like a sustainable, where you use more like a tanky skill like Energy Shield, Purification, Berserk combo, like these 3 skills on Elizabeth. Then you have it more sustainable in the March, and Elizabeth will be surviving a lot longer. I don't know about the damage because since she's a physical archer, I mean a lot of the marches you see nowadays, what you're facing, all have like physical defense bonus artifacts, especially the frontliners, and they are high. They do have high physical defense, so she's gonna be doing less damage than like the likes of Himiko. But I think we will figure out once we're gonna test it later in this video. Now let's take a look at our march for today. You can see here, very old school. My power doesn't go up, which is a little bit crazy in my opinion, because I thought it would be a little bit higher, like maybe 650, 670, but I guess not. But yeah, here are my skills. On Charles, I have Guard, Fighting Master, No Escape, and then Alex, I choose to go this way because I have Berserker skill. I want to be using that at the full benefit. I use Wind Rage, I use Assembly Charge. Here for Zenobia, I'm using Sacrifice. You can definitely go for something else here, but in my opinion, you can definitely go for maybe Berserker or Berserk Aura here instead, and then you put something else for Elizabeth. But I prefer my Elizabeth to, add as an archer, as like a main carry. I don't really mind if the immortals do not have the like trigger skills on them, because I'm relying more on their ultimate, which I mean, in my opinion, very good ultimate already. So first of all, let's take a look at some Nooms and see how we actually perform there, and then we're gonna go over to Arena and see how we perform there as well. So is it reliable? I would say yes. I was definitely, if I didn't have any other immortals, I would definitely use this this comp, because I think this is a very good comp, very good against Nooms, against garrisons, for PvE aspect of the game. I think that is very good as well. Also, if you by this time now of the game, if you are like 3, almost 4 years into the game, I would probably switch out Zenobia as soon as possible. Basically the first immortal I would switch out is definitely Zenobia for either Theodora if you want to go for like Holy, but if you can go a step up from that, you can probably go for Fu-Fei. You can definitely, if you don't like Fu-Fei, you can definitely go for Ninetales, but she's relatively new, so I don't expect people to want to go for that. But for Fu-Fei, top tier support, I think that is what people want to go for. If we're gonna go first Chaos Immortal, and that I would recommend her, especially for the first Chaos. But if you want to stick with Zenobia, you can definitely do that. Her artifacts are easy to max out as well if you do Mysterium every 2 days. So definitely it's good. Let's check if it actually works on bosses as well. I think it should be working well. Actually, let's use the keys here so we have a spot ready. But yeah, I think it is very good. I don't know how it will fare well with like a lot of the current meta matches. Honestly, I don't think it's gonna do well against the Chaos Immortals. I think it will do well against the Elemental matches, Lightning, Fire, Earth, Water. I think it's gonna be doing well against them. I think he can do decently against Holy and Shadow, but I think at this point of the game, I'm assuming you already transitioned from Elizabeth to maybe Himiko, maybe to somebody else. If you probably Loki. If you still use Zenobia, I'm assuming you also transition. Let's see the reports here that Val actually posted. She's using this mod right there. A lot of people are transitioning to something like this instead, right? They're moving. First they remove Zenobia, and then if you can't afford like Loki, you can probably go for Himiko, which is in my opinion a better carry than Loki. And then you have Shin, which in my opinion is currently better than Charles, but it doesn't necessarily means that you have to swap to him first. I think Charles gonna perform you well. It's gonna be very good for you for a very long time until the end game, until you wanna try something else. And this match is like very good, like well evolved from the Earth Himiko, right? So I think let's go to Arena. Let's put something together and then let's try it out. So let's buy one ticket. Well, let's rearrange this one. So what we're gonna have right here is this and this, and where is Alex, and this. So let's put it to work as number 1. Let's try with Exodus first. Well, if you look at this, it's still gonna work against water, but I think it will struggle against like him, right? He already transitioned to another team and can see how much better it is. Right there. That is like what the original Earth Elizabeth has become, right? Remove one immortal and then you get these kind of results. I think it's a pretty good results for the team. So I think it's time for people to remove Elizabeth, unless you want to go double tank, right? This is like a thing that I've been working on for a while. Like if you instead of, if you have a team like me, I think having a Elizabeth here instead of Himiko wouldn't be a bad idea, right? It wouldn't be top tier, but it's still useful, right? But at the same time, I understand why people are moving away from, Elizabeth, because she is a little bit behind the curve, like the power curve right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the mod right here. I still think this is very good from like early to mid game before you start transitioning one immortal at a time to maybe a Himiko, from Zenobia to Theodora, or probably go straight up to Buffet or Ninetales for that, all that matters. And then this is like a personal preference. I prefer Ethan Shin over Charles, although Charles gonna perform very well. Still one of the best tanker in the game. And yeah, that's pretty much it about this video about Earth Elizabeth, how it evolved, and can it can it perform it today? I'd say no, but it's always good to go back and take a look at what we used to have back then. So yeah, thanks you guys for following. Thanks you guys for watching this video. If this video makes you a little bit like nostalgic about your Earth Elizabeth team from back then, 1 or 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I'm happy to give it some memories back. So yeah, thanks you guys for watching this Flashback Sunday videos. See you guys in the next video.